If any marketer comes along and says, we are going to influence the conscious brain of all the people, we are going to make them cognitively want this, they're going to get kicked out of the room. Right.
Yeah, that's not what you say. You don't say it that way. You do it that way. So, there's three things needed for hypnotic modality. Mm-hmm. Authority, a doctrine or a paradigm, and you have to feel something.
Explain number two.
A doctrine or a paradigm?
Yeah.
A story like, okay, so here's my authority. See, it's up on the wall. The doctrine or paradigm is hypnotherapy. I'm going to put you in a trance. I'm going to give you suggestions and you're going to change. That's the paradigm. That's and then do you feel something? Well, of course you feel deeply relaxed when you're in my chair. So, but let me give you some other examples. Lab coat and stethoscope, medical books and medical school. That's the doctrine or paradigm, allopathic medicine. And do you feel something when you go to the doctor? You can be hopeful. You can be scared. You can be sad. You get good test results. Yay, you're related. Not a good place to have your blood pressure taken. The white coat syndrome. You know what I mean? So that's medicine is a hypnotic modality. Here's another one. The white collar, the good book. Choose any one. The Torah, the Quran, the Bible, the Bhagavad Gita. And do you feel something when you're in temple, mosque, or church?
Of course. Yeah.
That's a hypnotic modality. Okay, so hypnosis is ubiquitous. It's everywhere. Drive time radio is expensive because highway hypnosis. You're driving along and you end up in the driveway and you don't remember the trip. You were in hypnosis.
And you don't remember anything, but the stuff you were hearing on the radio, all that stuff is suggestible. Exactly. And you're actually influencing your subconscious.
That's right. Of course.
Wow. It's crazy. And like the craziest thing is we just have no idea how much it influences our lives. Like I spend all my time doing work, right? College, all of these things. And if you talk to anybody who's actually like experimented with themselves and try to figure out how can I get up in the morning? How can I be more productive? How can I increase motivation within myself? And they've succeeded at least a little bit. It's not done through carrot and stick. You can't do it. Like you just physically can't. Like I tried years ago, every time I mess up, every time I don't wake up in the morning, I take a cold shower, or I have to go for a run. What do? I just don't go for the run.
No, of course, avoidance behavior. Listen, there's the studies on classical and operant conditioning are long. We can get a reward. The bell rings, we salivate. It's just long and arduous, and no one goes through it. I mean, look, we're an immediate society. We're like need it now. Then no one goes through these long, classical conditioning type activities to arrive at a behavior. It's just really old. So they want it now, and most of them seek a pill. And hypnosis you can do it fairly quickly without the pill. That's why I went into it. But listen, I mean, in the context of what you're doing, I've helped people study. I've helped lawyers pass the bar. I've helped psychologists 3-time failures on their licensure test passed and get, they're a PhD. They're operating under somebody else's license and have failed the licensure 3 times. They come to me. We did 3 sessions. They passed. So you're in a great place. I mean, you could set up a lemonade stand and be helping people study and pass tests. And I'm trying. That was my attempt to be funny, your lemonade stand. But you really could, if as long as your challenge is the marketing thing you're doing, right? You have to package this, and that's why I wrote the second book. I don't get rich from book sales. I give it away. It's I do sell it when I speak at the back of the room and stuff, and it is on Amazon, but it's really an inducement, to help people feel comfortable doing what I do. And the amount, listen, I was a lobbyist for 25 years. I loved the strategy. I loved the policy. I hated the politics. It made me sick, and I walked away from it. And I was divinely guided to do this. And I found my soul's purpose. You can read Eckhart Tolle's book, Awakening to Your Essential Purpose, 25 times and still not figure out what your essential purpose is. You have to be quiet and still. You have to go inward. You have to listen, prayer is when we talk to God, and meditation is when we get answers. And so few people take the time to just be quiet and still. You don't have to contort your body and legs and hands and arms into some weird position. Just sit and be quiet and still for the first 10 minutes of every day. Get up, go to the bathroom, come back, sit, be quiet and still. Close your eyes. You can put some YouTube tones on. There's so many great things, binaural beats and stuff. I learned the old school way with breath and stuff, but now I have a whole library of 432 hertz and 528 hertz and so these binaural beats where I just put a tone, or sometimes I get some Native American drumming.
Really?
And you just go in and you spend this quiet stillness and you shake the Etch-a-Sketch and clear the screen.
Well, I'd love to hear the process. I get essentially, just to sum up your story really quickly, right? Just lived as a politician. Well, first was in the Marines, then lived as a politician for 25 years, really shallow life, if you could agree with me on that. And then get cancer, right? And
yeah.
How did you transition from a life where clearly you weren't quiet, right? Where your brain wasn't quiet, where it's very deceptive and there's all these lies, and also, you're always active, you're always trying to outpace and outproduce other people, to something where you're here.
Yeah, it was, a long, strange trip it's been. And, to quote the Grateful Dead, but, I didn't go to college right out of high school. I went in the Marine Corps. Then I got out of the Marine Corps. I worked in the oil fields and a rock plant like Fred Flintstone, making little rocks out of big rocks. I then was climbing telephone poles, building cable TV, and my brother was killed in a car accident. I was 24. He was 22. And he was pre-med, and it hit me hard, and I cried, and I just I couldn't figure out. So then I'm like, wow, okay, all right. I never had to try at all in school. I've been able to wing it at a very high level, which is a curse, by the way, because I just walk in and just wing it, And so anyway, I moved in with my mom. I walked onto a 25,000 student community college campus in San Diego. I did speech and debate and student government, and still got my AA in a year and a half. Transferred to Sac State, with the seat of government in California. It's a nation state, the 6th or 7th largest economy in the world. The first semester, I was in the government department at Sac State, and I saw an internship, a paid internship, and I went after it, and I got it. And there were and term limits passed, and they cut the legislature's budget that year, and they hired me right out of the program. They got rid of the guy making 50,000 and hired me making 25, and so I became the reading clerk. And, when I was in high school, I was in Future Farmers of America, and I was the president of the parliamentary procedure team. So stepping into the clerkship, I already knew they don't use Robert's rules. They use Mason's manual of legislative procedure, but it's very similar. So anyway, I just stepped right in, and, from clerk to consultant, I ran campaigns. I became the committee consultant for the insurance and health committees. And then I was hired by the Medical Association to lobby for the doctors, the 30,000 physicians in California. And then I struck out on my own and started my own lobbying business, and I represented petroleum, energy, and automotive. But it was always the underdog. It was small energy against the monopoly utilities. It was the automotive aftermarket against the big car companies. It was small oil against big oil, And so, I did it. I loved it. It was shallow in that it was very material. I had Porsches and Italian suits and a big 4,000 square foot house and a trophy wife. And, it just, it was shallow. It was materialistic, and it was, and I thought all that made me happy. And then when I got sick and I was facing losing it all, I've had a, existential crisis. I'm just like, and that's when I walked away from all of it. My ex-wife didn't handle it well. She, took pills, and, it didn't, our marriage didn't survive. And it's never just about the cancer. Right. And so I moved to LA, and I was divinely guided to there's a nationally accredited school in Los Angeles. 18 months,
How'd you get there? How'd you get, I need a little more than divinely guided.
Okay. So, all right. So when I first moved down there, I took a job as an executive director of a trade association, very similar to the kind of stuff I was doing. I was leading, $1 million a year an association, and these people, they were metal finishers, and they chrome platers, and your cell phones are, all the components inside, they're dipped in gold and silver and precious metals. That's what these guys did, and I brought them into the 21st century and everything. And then I started to work on their ethics, and they didn't renew my contract. And I'm like, oh shit, now what? And I had this experience. Okay, I'm going to get a little woo on you here. I had a big Jeep, and I built it into a monster, big tires and coilovers and long arms and a winch on the front. And I'm walking out the day I was going to the office for contract renewal at the 1 year mark. I was walking out of my house, and the winch went. It had activated on the front. I'm not in the vehicle. The key is and it's on the accessory line from the, you have to have the key in and turned on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, what? And then I go there, and they don't renew my contract. They tell me I have an hour to clean my stuff out. And I'm like, oh. And I've had other experiences like this before. I'm very sensitive, but I'm, as a Marine, as this hard charging lobbyist and stuff, I didn't pay attention to any of it.